For well over 100 years, the Berkshires have been a retreat for very wealthy individuals. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why affluent individuals love the Berkshires. I'm Cameron Volastro. I'm a local real estate professional here in the Berkshires. If you are considering buying or selling real estate here, please give me a call, text, email. All my contact information is in the description. You can also sign up for my email newsletter there. Let's dive right into the video. So dating back to the late 1800s, affluent individuals were coming here to build these massive estates, which have since been coined the Berkshire cottages. To be considered a Berkshire cottage, they have to have over 20 rooms, and they're typically over 10,000 square feet. So as you can imagine, these are very grand, large homes that were constructed, and there's a lot of really cool historic charm to them from the time that they were built. The craftsmanship is incredible, and many of them are still standing here today. And that was really the start of this movement of people having these massive second homes here, and which has evolved at this point. People aren't necessarily building these huge properties, but that's where this all really started. Many of these estates have been repurposed into things such as inns or spas, retreats. Some of them are just being preserved historically. Some of them are still single family homes, and many of them even burned down. I do have one of these properties for sale actually right now for $5.5 million. It's called the Kemble. I'll show you a picture of it right here. But anyway, I like to bring these cottages into the conversation here because the historic charm is the first thing that I really want to touch in. That brings a lot of people here for their second homes as they're escaping the city. The historic charm to the architecture here and to the quaint downtowns is certainly a draw to the area. Let's move on to our second point, which is the natural beauty and tranquility of the area. It's basically the polar opposite of a city here. We have these big wide open spaces, and this brings people out of the city and to the Berkshires because they want to just get some fresh air, and they want to just feel like they have space. And you can buy properties here on hundreds of acres, and that is certainly a draw to the second homeowner, affluent individual out of the city that's looking for that escape. This is just such a good getaway for somebody looking for that. Never to mention the ability to buy a very large home where you can invite and host guests. Let's say, for example, you buy a sizable estate that is waterfront. You can have your family, friends come out and visit you, go out on the lake and have your friends go water skiing, tubing, or you can even just float around and have a cocktail out on the lake looking at the beautiful scenery. And this is just such a good getaway to go out, get some sunshine, get some fresh air, and just have something different than where you're living in the city. It's also very possible to have a high level of privacy here, and this doesn't only attract affluent individuals, but we have a lot of very well-known names hidden in the hills of the Berkshires here. I could list off dozens of stars, whether they're movie stars, musicians, famous YouTubers, and more that are hidden in the Berkshires. You name it for the type of individual, they are here. They're just hiding from you. Quick side note, if you do happen to be someone who has a very well-known name and privacy is a huge concern for you, and if you are looking to buy property in the Berkshires, every conversation with me is confidential. You can trust that everything will be kept quiet if you want to do a transaction with me. Let's move on to our third point, which is the cultural attractions of the Berkshires. The Berkshires are full of art and culture, and we have amazing dance at Jacob's Pillow or amazing musicians at Tanglewood, which is the second home to the BSO. We also have many incredible museums such as the Clark in Williamstown or Mass Mocha in North Adams, or the Norman Rockwell Museum. Norman Rockwell actually lived in Stockbridge for a portion of his life, and he has done paintings which are now incredibly famous of different parts of the Berkshires. He has a famous painting of downtown Stockbridge. That's just scraping the surface of the arts and culture here. There are so many things to enjoy. I'm not even gonna get into trying to list everything, but the arts and culture are certainly a massive draw to the weekender who wants their second home, somewhere where that they can get away and have privacy, and they can enjoy some cool shows, whether it be music or they wanna just look at some fine art. We have that here, and that brings people to the Berkshires. Fourth, let's touch on the local charm of the small, quaint downtowns that we have here. People love the quaint downtowns here because they are so walkable, and it's just like such a small town feel where you can get a second home here, and just by coming here on the weekends, after a few weeks, you might have a bartender that remembers your name, the restaurant that you like to regular, the wait staff, they'll remember your name, and people really love that aspect to coming here here as their getaway, especially if they are out of the city. This is just such a draw because it's just like a culture shock. I lived in San Diego for many years. I grew up here in the Berkshires. I know the two different lifestyles, and it's just very easy to see the appeal of having a second home here if you are in a position to afford a second home and you want something that's just like the polar opposite of where you live, especially if you're out of the city. The fifth thing we're going to touch on that attracts affluent individuals to the Berkshires is the social and political environment here in the Berkshires. And this is kind of true of all of Massachusetts, but it's very left-leaning politics and it's very LGBTQ plus inclusive here. It's a very welcoming environment here. And this is something that can be very attractive to a wealthy individual who's concerned about the politics and acceptingness of a community that they're going to be traveling to for their second home, especially when you consider that a lot of rural areas in the United States tend to be more right-leaning. The left-leaning politics on top of having the country setting here is a special combination to the Berkshires that certainly attracts a certain second home owner to our area and can be incredibly appealing. To sum everything up, affluent individuals flock to the Berkshires and love to have their second homes here because it offers privacy and fresh air and cultural attractions such as fine art and dance and theater, and we have music and the quaint downtowns and so much more. It's truly just a great second home ownership area, and I totally understand why people love coming here, love buying second homes here. If you are in the market for a second home, please do reach out to me. I would love to work with you. All my contact information is in the description. Please hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See ya.